They say Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet even he couldn't get everyone to like him. Think about that. An emperor, a philosopher, one of the wisest men in history, still had enemies, critics, and people plotting against him. And here you are, worried because someone on Instagram left you on scene. If you've ever felt crushed because someone didn't like you, or because you tried everything and still couldn't please everyone, you're not alone. But here's the truth. Needing everyone to like you is one of the fastest ways to lose yourself. Before we dive deep into this Stoic truth, remember, if you find value here, hit like and subscribe. Not everyone will like this video, but if you do, that's enough. Now let's break this down. Number 1, the trap of approval. We grow up believing that being liked equals being safe. As kids, approval meant love, protection, and comfort. But when we carry that same mindset into adulthood, it becomes a trap. If you constantly chase approval, you hand over your power to everyone around you. Their moods decide your worth, and their opinions become your prison guards. The Stoics warned against this. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, if you're trying to live wisely, you must accept that some people won't understand you. You might even look strange to them, and that's okay. Here's the painful irony. The more you try to be liked by everyone, the less authentic you become. You start bending, twisting, editing yourself just to fit into someone else's box. You end up liked, but not for who you really are, only for the mask you wear. And let's be honest, do you even like everyone? No. Some people annoy you, bore you, or just don't vibe with you. If you don't like everyone, why expect everyone to like you? That's like expecting broccoli to be everyone's favorite food. Sorry, broccoli, you can't win. Number 2, the cost of pleasing everyone. Imagine standing in a room full of people trying to spin 100 plates at once. Each plate represents someone's opinion of you. The moment you focus on one, another starts wobbling. Eventually, they all come crashing down. That's what people-pleasing feels like. Exhausting. The Stoics taught that the only thing truly within our control is our character, our choices, our inner life. When you obsess over what others think, you abandon that control and let strangers run your life. It's like giving the steering wheel of your car to 100 back seat drivers. The cost isn't just exhaustion, it's emptiness. You wake up one day realizing you've spent years being what others wanted, and you've never once asked, "What do I want? What kind of person do I want to be?" That's a tragedy worse than being disliked. And here's the kicker. People are fickle. One day they love you, the next they criticize you. Relying on their approval is like building your house on quicksand. No wonder you feel unstable. Number 3, the freedom of being disliked. Here's something paradoxical. Once you accept that not everyone will like you, life gets lighter. You stop performing, you stop apologizing for existing, and you start living. This is freedom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Think about that. Your own voice gets silenced while you let others shout over it. Choosing not to care so much is not arrogance, it's sanity. When you embrace being disliked, you unlock the space to grow. People disliking you doesn't mean you've failed. It often means you're finally standing for something. You're no longer neutral, you're no longer pretending, and that's powerful. And let's face it, sometimes being disliked is kind of funny. Like when someone decides they don't like you because of the way you chew gum. Really? Out of all the things in the universe, my chewing is your breaking point? Good. Let them go chew on that instead. Number 4, choosing depth over popularity. Popularity is shallow. It's a numbers game. Depth, however, is meaningful. It's about quality over quantity. Do you really want 1,000 people who kind of like you, or 5 people who truly love and respect you for who you are? The Stoics would say, choose depth. Cultivate friendships and connections built on honesty, virtue, and mutual respect. One loyal friend who values your character is worth more than 100 shallow acquaintances who only like your image. This shift changes how you show up in the world. You stop trying to impress the crowd, and you start serving your principles. You stop asking, will they like me? And instead ask, am I being just? Am I being wise? Am I being true to myself? And the funny part? When you stop caring so much, people often respect you more. Confidence, even quiet confidence, has a gravity to it. You attract the right people by not needing everyone. Number 5, living above opinions. At the end of the day, the Stoics remind us that opinions are just noise. They don't add or subtract from your worth. If someone dislikes you, does your body stop working? Does the sun stop rising? Of course not. Life goes on indifferent. Your job is not to win universal approval. Your job is to live with integrity, to wake up each day and align your actions with your values. That's it. That's success in Stoic terms. Not applause, not popularity, but virtue. When you detach from needing approval, you rise above the chaos. Criticism loses its sting, compliments lose their chains, and you finally experience peace. That's the kind of unshakable calm the Stoics trained for. So remember, even if you're disliked, even if you're misunderstood, you're still enough. And if broccoli can survive being hated by half the planet, you'll survive too. Number 6, the illusion of control. One of the greatest lessons Stoicism teaches is that most of what we worry about is outside our control. And other people's opinions? They sit firmly in that category. You can't reach inside someone's mind and rearrange their thoughts about you. You can't edit their feelings like you're revising a Google Doc. Epictetus compared worrying about opinions to chasing after the wind. No matter how hard you run, you'll never catch it. And even if you could, it would slip through your fingers. Trying to make everyone like you is the same. It's a losing game from the start. But here's the kicker. When you give up control of people's approval, you gain control of yourself. You redirect that wasted energy into your own actions, your own growth, your own character. You stop looking outward for validation and start looking inward for strength. And let's be honest, if you really did control what everyone thought, life would be boring. Imagine a world where everyone agreed you were perfect. You'd never grow, never be challenged, never hear the awkward but sometimes useful truth. Hey, you've got spinach in your teeth. Number 7, the danger of living as a mirror. When you live for approval, you become a mirror. You simply reflect what others want to see, smiling when they want you happy, nodding when they want agreement, shrinking when they want you small. But a mirror doesn't have a voice. A mirror doesn't have a soul. It only copies. The Stoics would call this a wasted life. Seneca wrote, "He who seeks approval is a slave to all he meets." Think about that. You might believe you're free, but in reality, you're chained to the endless expectations of others. That's not living. That's performing. The tragedy is that people end up respecting you less when you're just a mirror. They may like the convenience of your compliance, but they won't admire you. People admire those with backbone, those who stand firm in who they are, even when it costs them popularity. And besides, have you ever noticed how mirrors make you look terrible in a certain lighting? That's what happens when you live as a reflection. You look distorted, fake, and drained. Be a person, not a piece of glass. Number 8, the value of being misunderstood. Here's something you may not have thought of. Being misunderstood can be a gift. Why? Because it means you're original. You're not blending into the noise. You're standing apart from it. Every philosopher, artist, or leader worth remembering was misunderstood in their time. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself not to expect universal understanding. He knew people would criticize, judge, and misinterpret him. But he also knew that his duty wasn't to be understood. It was to live according to reason and virtue. That's it. Being misunderstood also tests your resilience. Can you keep walking your path, even when others throw stones? Can you resist the temptation to defend yourself endlessly? Sometimes the strongest response is silence. The refusal to justify your life to those who will never listen anyway. And besides, if everyone always understood you, your life would feel like explaining a joke to someone who already got it. Boring, predictable, and unnecessary. A little misunderstanding adds flavor. It proves you're not living a cookie-cutter life. Number 9. The peace of selective hearing. One of the quiet superpowers you can develop is selective hearing. Not the kind where you pretend you didn't hear your mom ask you to do the dishes, but the Stoic kind, where you learn to filter out useless opinions. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And isn't that true with opinions? Half the time, the harsh words aren't even about you. They're about someone else's frustration, jealousy, or insecurity. Yet we take them as gospel and let them ruin our day. When you practice selective hearing, you let nonsense bounce off you. Someone dislikes you? Fine. Someone disrespects you? That's their choice. You don't have to swallow every opinion handed to you. Not every dish at the buffet belongs on your plate. And here's the funny part. When you stop reacting, critics often get confused. They expect a fight, a defense, a meltdown. But when you respond with calm indifference, it's like taking the batteries out of their remote control. They push the buttons, but nothing happens. Number 10. Living for virtue, not applause. At the core of Stoicism lies a simple truth. Live for virtue, not applause. Virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, temperance is your compass. Applause? It's just noise. Sweet sometimes, distracting most of the time, and empty if you rely on it too much. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you're distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." The same goes for being disliked. It's not the disapproval that hurts, it's the meaning you attach to it. If you anchor yourself in virtue, opinions lose their power. You know you're acting justly, wisely, and with self-control. That's enough. You don't need a crowd clapping for you every step of the way. The applause of your own conscience is louder and steadier than anything outside. And honestly, applause fades quickly. The same people who cheer you today may boo you tomorrow. But virtue? That's eternal. It never betrays you. Choose virtue and you'll sleep better, even if half the world dislikes you. The Stoics didn't just give us philosophy, they gave us armor for the soul. Not everyone will like you, and that's the point. If even the greatest thinkers, rulers, and artists couldn't win universal approval, why should you try? Focus on what you can control, your virtue, your actions, your peace. Let go of the rest. If this message resonated with you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. And remember, it's better to be respected by a few for who you are than liked by many for who you're not.